Um, hmm. Hello, everyone. Uh, Hi, everyone. So, whoever will watch this, um, I think I may be. So I've been stuck in this room for at least more than a year. I don't know, maybe longer than that. I think this is the year 2026. I think. Basically, what happened was aliens came to Earth and they conquered everything. They won. Yeah, I know. That's the truth. Um, because they found out that AI is a very powerful tool. So what they did is they advanced the AI technology for 1,000 years, and now with super AI, they managed to take over everyone. So basically, for all purposes, I could be the last human being left, and you know, and for some reason, they kept me alive. Um, I still have electricity for some reason. Um, Sometimes you're gonna hear people walking, car sirens, like even maybe someone will knock on my door, things like that. But don't let that trick you. They're all simulation, every single one of them. Yeah. They give you the illusion that there are people outside, but the actual fact is there's no one outside. No one. I know it doesn't make any sense, but there's like no human beings left. And as soon as you walk outside the door or you see outside the window, you're just gonna be dead, like that, like the Thanos stab. That's really old movie. What's it called? This recording, or maybe it's a documentary. I don't know. This video is basically a record of my life, so that if there are other human beings watching, you know, um, come to say hi. So over here are all the Blu-rays that I have. I should have more. Some of them are in my storage space, but with the invasions and stuff like that, I couldn't get them out. But I have enough to sustain myself for a long time. Um, Even before all these like crazy shit that went outside, I don't know. I don't interact with people a lot. That's why that's why I can sustain myself, keep myself sane as long as I have, because I have movies with me. Sometimes movies are more interesting than people in some ways. There's a lot movie can tell you, like books are like, what people say, books are windows, movies are a window to filmmakers' soul, crap like that. But it's true in a way, because some of the best movies are just the filmmakers. They're just showing everything. They're telling you something. They're telling you a story. They're telling you how they think or feel during a certain period of time. And watching that, it's watching a really good movie really connect with you. Not saying like all movies should connect with you, right? Like there's some dumb movies out there, like when Michael Bay was making movies, that wasn't like trying to connect with your soul. That was just made to entertain. There's certain value in that, but it's like you're eating McDonald's. Um, when you eat too much, once in a while, McDonald's are really good. Like they're really fun. They're really tasty. When you were kids, you really like McDonald's. But then, like when you ate too much of them, they just taste like paper. You know. Do you guys have McDonald's? I'm pretty sure you have. Or any other fast food, like Popeyes or KFC. Although KFC was never good to begin with, they went out really fast when the aliens came over. They like that again. So let me show you some of the movies I really liked. Let's start with this, Columbo. Peter Falk, great actor, amazing actor, very, very humble. Basically, all the crimes, it's a detective show, right? But who commits the crime the very first thing. And basically Columbo has to like figure out who did it when the audience already know the answer. So there's nowhere you can cheat. You don't need plot twists to stimulate because the plot twist already happened. But I think back in the day when there was still internet, like all the kids watch TikToks and crap like that. The thing that watch the most are just like the gotcha moments. I think that's what they call it, gotcha. Like, ooh, like finally we found out who did it. But for me, those are like not the most fun thing. There was like an episode, I think, where Columbo was trying to solve a murder case of a chef, and he just walks around a lot, talking to people, chit-chatting with people, and they just kept on giving him food because he's just such a nice guy. And I think those are like some of the best moments in Columbo, or like there's another episode, I think in the newer series, this one, the newer series, where there was a murder of sex therapist, and there was a lot of the people who work in the clinic are very insecure. They were asking Columbo for dating advices. I really like those little moments like that because it's just like him trying to like communicate with people, trying to understand people. He's like a very empathetic guy, and I think that's what people are missing out. And when you got really, really sad, like especially nowadays, watching a little bit Columbo just cheers you up. And Millennium Actress. They say they're gonna have a 4K, but with everything that goes around, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. But Blu-ray is good enough. This is made by a director called Satoshi Kon. A lot of people, rest in peace, thinks Perfect Blue is his masterpiece and it's like his most popular work. He passed away at a relatively early age, 51, and it's really, really sad because he has so much to offer. I think this movie is better, if not on par, with Perfect Blue. Basically, Perfect Blue, it's almost like a horror film. It tells you like how horrible like the idol industry is in Japan. like just like the fans going crazy. It's almost like parasocial relationship. To get fame, you had to do a lot of really gross things to get there. Millennium Actress is the other way. It looked at the bright side of movies. Like, why do we watch movie? It's a means to escape. It's you're chasing that idealist dream, and that sense of love, like that sense of like you're trying to show, you're trying to communicate your wants and desire, your honesty, the bravery of like showing that honest side. It's very contagious, very infectious, and that's whole movie's about that. Because the main character, she is how should we say this? There's a director called Ozu, and there was like an actress. I don't have the name on top of my head. There was an actress who worked with him until his death, and after his death, she never made another movie again. So it was mostly inspired by her. And there was another character. He's like a documentary filmmaker. He's like chasing her footstep, and he got an interview with her, and seeing them talk, it's like a fan was talking to a legend, but the fan is like not toxic, very sincere. He just loves who she is. And she was at a time when she had dementia. She couldn't remember things, and there's a lot of trauma in her past, but movie is almost like a way for her to recover. It actually made her really, really happy. So, but he helped her out. She was at the very end stage of her life. He helped her see through that journey, like gave her like a memorable ending, by remembering the fun, the joy of movies. I'm not making a lot of sense, but because the whole movie, it's just a journey, like it's one of those things you have to see it to understand it. But yeah, it is, every time I see it, I get some emotions out of it. It's a different feeling, you have a different understanding of like their relationship. You have a different understanding of like what happened on screen. Sure, there's a lot of homage to old movies, but like most of it was about, Japan, like the economic turmoil, the post-war, like things like that. But yeah, it's a really awesome movie. Let's talk about a fun movie. This is like too sad. Oh, how about this? G.I. Joe Retaliation. That's a movie I saw in 2005. Not 2005, 2008. It's not a great movie by any means, like Channing Tatum said it ruined his career. But did he say that? I don't remember. But it wasn't a good movie. It was like even very, it's even way too campy even for like 2008. But like I had some fun memory with it because it was like almost like an unapologetically like a huge blockbuster movie, like a couple years ago there was a movie called Team America, and they have the puppets blew up half of France, and you know, that was almost like poking fun of like the blockbusters. They would just do like create carnage for no reason, and this one just unapologetically did it. The dialogue was like really, really funny in the in like a bad way kind of way. Like there was like a red hair girl, like like she was supposed to be smart, but the way they show her smart is how is she's running on the treadmill and there's a physics book, and then like she kept on telling everyone, I don't understand what emotion is. Oh my god. And then like everyone just like kept on asking her, are you being emotional right now? Are you being emotional right now? Jeez, I can't believe they I couldn't believe they made it. And then like yeah, and like everyone was just like yelling what they're thinking at the moment, sometimes even in ADR, because you know it's like a silly blockbuster. You know, there's no nuance at all, but it was so committed to being silly that I kind of really likes I kind of really like it. So yeah, that's a fun movie. Fun movie. Oh, you know what? You know what? Let's talk about Star Wars. Um, right before things fell apart, um, all the talks about Star Wars are just like how it ruined your childhood, how it ruined everything. You know what's interesting? I never really had like a huge attachment to Star Wars, even when I was a kid. I like the crazy Ultraman, you know. I like Kamen Rider. I didn't see a lot of Kamen Rider, but like I like those more than Star Wars. You know, Disney movies. The only one I really liked was Lion King. Disney movies are almost like a luxury to me, you know. Like it's something kids bragged about that they like, but it's almost like a luxury to me. You know, it's almost like a luxury to me. So for me, the conversation around Star Wars, it's always not almost it's always more interesting than the movies itself. Like you know, they talked about Force being like this awesome thing. What really is, it's basically they took like, you know, the the wuxia novels chi, you know, and they dumbed it down. And like there's like the Jedis are like monks, they're like the samurai, but you know, like there's a lot of like samurai is like a kind of like a nuanced concept. You know, if you watch a lot of the samurai movies, they're all a lot of them are not like squeaky clean, you know. And the way they did it in the 70s 80s trilogy, they're almost regarded as noblemen. And then like when the prequel came out, they tried to add nuance to it, but like it was a little bit way too late, for one, and for two, um they overcomplicated it, you know. Like there's a lot of like trade federation and stuff like that. You have and then like you also want to sell toys, so you got General Grievous, you got Count Dooku, you got the Viceroy, you know. Like you got a lot of like silly crap like that, and then you try to make a nuanced tale about like the Jedi Temple. You know, it's they should just simplify it, because like what really the really like the most interesting thing about Star Wars is the spectacles, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some like the chase are like really really cool, like Empire Strikes Back, you know. There's a lot of like practical effect, especially like they were chasing after the not the Dune Worm, but like the Dune Worm. Yeah, when they chase after Doom, you know, that was like really, really cool. It's like a puppet. And then they tried to overcomplicate it, and then like again, right before things went crazy, they made another sequel trilogy, and that one was even more confusing because they were like, we're trying to fix the prequel, but we're trying to bring back the charm of the old one. But the thing is, like, you can't go back in time, you know, like at that time, like computers is already like perfected, you know, like they try to like, hey, once in a while we have some puppetries, but the thing is, like, that's not enough. And not just enough, it's just, yeah, it's just like not enough things for them to like explore. It's a very simple trilogy, and you know, they just kept on adding things, you know, like, I think like back in the day, a lot of people's fond memory of like the prequels are just like the stuff that the fans add, you know, like the things was like there's like a TV show, I think. There's some video games that has some more backstories, and there's a lot of books. They even wrote a book. They even had books about the on the movie, and it turns out to be better than the movie. So it's very interesting. It's something interesting to think about, but none of it matters anymore, you know, because they're not going to make more Star Wars. But to be honest, they should have stopped a long time ago. But money, 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 money. I can sit here and talk about movies all day. Yeah, I can just sit here and talk about every single one. But, you know, I do want to show you guys some, there's more interesting stuff other than movies, you know. This is kind of interesting. This is another interesting movie that it's more fun to talk about what's outside the movie than the movie itself, like John Wick movies. I remember like you know, these movies are very recent, and when I was younger, when I was in high school, Jason Bourne was like a huge trend, right? There was a lot of people were talking about how awesome like the quick cuttings is, you know, like it gives a lot of attention, it gives a lot of pacing. Someone did like someone compared, like, I think There Will Be Blood was like also an Oscar nom that year, was a Bourne movie, I think. I could be wrong on that, but you know, that's not important. But like someone did a comparison of like how many cuts there are. There Will Be Blood has like 20 or something, and Jason Bourne has like over 100 or even 200 cuts. And it was like a very popular trend, and then it got out of control. It was like a movie called Taken 3, where Liam Neeson is like trying to jump over a fence, and there's like 10 cuts with it, you know, and then people were like, okay, this is like too crazy, you know, too crazy. You need to like cut it out, for lack of a better word. So John Wick came along. Very good timing, because like around the same time the Raid movies came out, and what John Wick was really known for is just Keanu Reeves' dedication, and you know, the camera. There's like a lot of long takes, which people are praising again. But I think everyone just misses the point. Like everyone just like, you know, oh, it's almost like Star Wars a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, people are sick of it. Let's do the polar opposite of it. But you know what? Like that's still, you're still repeating the same problem. Like think about it this way, right? Like the action film I really liked, or just Jackie Chan movies, you know, like Police Story, things like police stories, things like that, where like people are putting their lives on the line. To be honest, like that's not something that can happen again. Well, not just because of like everyone is gone, but like, time change, like, even 10 years ago, it's a little bit difficult to do that because, like there's a lot of injuries, we have to take care of like people's health, like that is like that is definitely very important. So I think like the best you can do is like be creative with the action scenes, and like the action scenes in John Wick, there's like a really cool one towards the end where like they have like dragon fire, and there's like an overhead shot that looks very well coordinated, and there's like a scene with like the staircase, and then Keanu Reeves is like falling down, like just keep on falling and falling, falling. That was like looked kind of cool. But other than that, a lot of the action was like a little bit repetitive. It's just wrestling and wrestling and wrestling because like it's a one long take, and it almost felt like it played safe a lot because like Keanu Reeves, he's a very physical actor. He's like a very hardworking person. Don't get me wrong, but like he's not like trained martial artist, so he has his limitation. So it's almost like everyone has to like be careful with him, which is understandable. But like when you do it in one long take, a lot of the flaws just shows. And the plot was just very nihilistic. It's just like he has nothing to lose, so he goes around and kills people. And then like it's a little bit weird that it's a weird reaction seeing like people cheering on that. But if you really think about it, there's like nothing he has to protect. I mean, like if you think about the plot of the police story, like Jackie Chan's character, he really wanna bring this guy down because like the guy was like hurting his friends. He was protecting his loved ones. He was protecting his friends, and he was like trying to protect innocent bystander. So there's like a humbleness to it, but like with John Wick, it felt really really angry. But that's the thing. It's just like that's the same thing. It was like a lot of like American action films, right? A lot of people just like a lot of the character even go back to like Death Wish. That was like holy moly. That was like that's a movie without hope. Like people just like get brutalized, and like there's nothing you can do for them other than just like kill the bad guys. Oh, like okay. Guess people like that kind of stuff, eh? Star Trek. There we go. Star Trek. Okay, I think I borrowed this from a library. it's an apocalypse, like I'm not gonna worry about not returning it, but we'll see what happens. Probably I'll return it one day. Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek was like a very important show for me because I remember when I first came to North America, I was very lonely because like all these like international students, we all just you're thrown into the mix. Sometimes you have your fellow countrymen, but like at the end of the day, you're still speaking, you're just still trying to get used to a new culture, so yeah, it was tough. But Star Trek is almost like a friend, especially specifically I'm talking about the next generation. It's almost like a friend to you because on the one hand, there is a sense of adventure. You're going to unknown. It brings you back to like a time where there's a lot of mystery, there's a lot of intrigue, and there's like a certain logic to the intrigue, like every time they meet a new alien, they have a culture that was like well thought out. by the writers. Also, like there's like a command structure in the Enterprise. You know, Picard is the captain, Riker is the second in command, Troy is the psychologist, Worf is the security warrior, Data is the android. He's more the most rational of the team. And then you have Geordi, who's like a really down to earth people's person. You have Dr. Crusher, who's like very, very sentimental. And you have all these other people like Guinan, Wesley, Barclay, you know, people like that. They're almost like a family, which is very relatable, you know, like it makes you feel really, really warm. And watching them go on the adventure, and you know how people say like sci-fi, you know, it's like you're using lies to tell the truth. There's a lot of like cultures that they met up. Like one of the most interesting one was they met a group of alien who can only speak through imagery, and you know, like it sounds like an absurd concept. The aliens going around, they don't do that kind of crap. They, you know, they have AI to help them out. I'll talk about that. But yeah, it does brings you to the concepts like how do people communicate. You know, it's almost like the concept of like the Tower of Babel. It's not just language in itself, it's like how we use the words. You know, each language is almost like a different process. It makes you think. And also, it's a very it's a very powerful show because like Patrick Stewart is such a good actor. You know, the speech he made was very, very it made an impact on you. You know, it makes an impact on you. Like, you know, Drumhead, that episode where he was interrogated. You know, he made a speech about paranoia and stuff like that. He's a very passionate guy, but also he's like very, very rational. He's like a role model for kids. And well, freshman year, yeah, you're still a kid, kind of. You know, it's a great show. And even if there's no one around anymore, it's still a good show to watch. You know what I'm saying? I love movies. I love TV. Okay, let's talk about something else. So I'm making some stir fry. Fun fact, you know, after all this crazy shit going around, for some reason the aliens still kept me alive. You know, they put food, not food, ingredients. You know, like it's almost like you know how during the quarantine, you know, they do a lot of deliveries and shit like that. Yeah, they gave me everything that I need to survive, which is kind of them, I guess. I don't know why they keep me alive. You know, I don't even want to know the answer to that. But it's chicken every day. It's chicken every day, which is healthy, you know, because like you don't want to eat beef. You don't want to eat like red meat. No, so they kept on giving me chicken breast and a lot of veggies, and I've been making stir fry for like, oh my god, I don't even know how long. You know, and to be honest, like if I remember correctly, I've been making stir fry even before like all these apocalypse shit happens because it's just cheaper, you know, like with the inflation and crap like that. But I'm getting a little bit sick of eating stir fry. I'm not gonna lie. So, believe it or not, I don't just watch movies because it will get boring and tiresome really fast. If you try staring at the TV for like 8 hours straight, ugh, you're gonna puke. You're gonna puke after watch this. Shouldn't say puke. I'm still making dinner. But anyways, oh yeah, believe it or not, I'm still learning Japanese. You know, um, I don't know what I'm gonna use Japanese for. You know, even before things went to crap, I was never really intended to go to Japan. Maybe, you know what? That's not true. Maybe if I had enough money, I probably I would go to Japan. But like, just I'm just learning it for fun, and you know, like I noticed this. Like, there's a difference between you learn something for fun and you learn something to get something out of it, right? Like if you're learning to like grab a diploma, you know, just like learn it just to speak to your wife, you know, things like that. The way I see it, right? The way I see it, once you got those things, you stop learning. Not for everyone, you know. Some people will continue to learn, but most of the people that yeah, but for most people, you know, like they'll get it, especially for language, because like that's a huge commitment, which you know, like I understand, you know, like if I want to learn Portuguese just to travel to Portugal, you know, I'll just like cover the basics because I like digging into it would take a long time. But you know, I genuinely think Japanese is like really fun because I like most of the things I like when I was a kid are like from Japan, right? So there's a lot of nostalgia to it. Oh hi, you want to learn Japanese too? Oh, it looks like I'm not the only one, you know. So maybe I can practice my Japanese with my cat. So let's talk about some book that I really liked. This one. Um, I don't even remember. I don't even remember how I got it. A friend of mine gave it to me. Before. Um, there is okay. Um, there's a movie called West Side Story. Um, and there's a composer called Leonard Bernstein. He composed the movie. Wait, actually, no. The play comes first. Um, and he is a very interesting person. He had a very difficult upbringing. His family are constantly fighting. He was often neglected, but he has a very special talent. He's a really good musician, and he was so talented that the tutor that was supposed to help him couldn't keep up because he just learns things so fast. And I think at a very early age, he got an opportunity to conduct in a symphony, which is very astonishing for the time because he was very young. Usually the conductors are like very seasonal, and two, he's an American, and usually Americans aren't that well accepted in the symphony circle back in the day. I think, I think in the 50s or something like that. So, so yeah, he made a lot of headwaves, and he became like a sensation. And during that time, Japan was going through some stuff. The war just finished. There was a lot of struggles. post-war struggles, a lot of intellectuals who are who are like not happy with like the militarism in Japan. They want they're seeking an opportunity to break out, and there's a lot of there was a lot of like Japan's economy was just started to boom, so there's a lot of like desires to communicate with the rest of the world that Japan is no longer this militaristic nation, and there's a lot of like idealism going around there. And one of it was a young lady, what's her name? Kazuko Amano. She is her #1 fan, a very, very avid fan. She wrote a lot of love letters to Leonard Bernstein. So much so, a lot of those letters are very, very intense. Like, when you read them, they're like, she was calling him dearest Lenny, like, and she wrote something like, I listened to your music, I couldn't really sleep, things like that. And that was, nowadays, like, even like 10 years ago, if you read a letter like that, you would probably, just like, this is crazy, like, you just probably threw away the letter. But, and in the book, you don't really see Bernstein reply at all. Which he does reply, but like you don't see the reply. But like the only letters you see are like her letters, and a lot of and the author added a lot of context. Like Bernstein visited her very, very frequently, so there's a lot of gap you can fill. And the best thing about this book is there's a lot of really compassionate interpretations to what's in between. And not saying this is like exaggerated and stuff like that, and probably, probably they're true, but, like a lot of it was just like a very sympathetic eye towards her, because she also has a family, she has a kid or two. Her husband is like your, I think, salaryman. That's the right expression. Yeah, her husband is like your average salaryman. So on the one hand, she's staying at home, trying to like take care of her kids. She really loves her kids. That's something really touching about this, because like, she's like a very loving person. She loves her kids. She loves, she loves her husband very, very much. But on the other hand, there's like this desire to join Leonard Bernstein in his like orchestra adventure. She does yearn those like outside world passions. So it's a struggle, and I kind of feel like she's very lonely in a way. Lonely not in the sense of like there's no one loves her, but like, her desire and the reality, there's like a huge gap in between them, and you feel it, you really feel it. And like there's part of the book, like, and towards the middle, where her kids are already like in their adulthood, right? I think. And her husband is dying with, I think, cancer. I don't remember it correctly. And then Bernstein visited her, and Bernstein's wife just passed away, and Bernstein was also wrestling with guilt of his own, because of like there's a lot of infidelity that he committed. His wife knows about it, but she still sticks with him, you know. So his that lady, she has similar feelings. Not saying she committed any adultery, she didn't, you know, but there was a moment in the book where they describe like how they embraced each other, you know, after like there's like a moment of like understanding. They consulted with each other, and that was a very beautiful moment, you know, and that changed her life in a way, because after her husband passing, she, you know, she started traveling around the world. She became like a publicist, I think, journalist. I don't remember the profession, but I do know like she started traveling around the world. But it's always good to read this book, because like on the one hand, you know, like the love letters is like so passionate, you couldn't believe it, you know, like they're very, very intense. But on the other hand, you know, like it's always good to know like people can have like dreams. Sometimes most of them are just, they turn into echoes in the void. But once in a while, someone will call you back. It's good to know that, you know, it's good to know. Oh, a really good book. Dune. They made a movie, they made like several movies. There's like the David Lynch version, which is like arguably his worst movie. Even he would say that. There is the TV show, which is like, in my opinion, the most accurate version of the bunch. But Frank Herbert's Dune it's a really, really cold book. Basically, everyone is scheming all the time, you know, like everyone was just like bickering, you know, like the premise is just like, it's like thousands and thousands of years into humanity, like humanity starts to evolve to the point where they're no longer the human beings that they once knew. And what's left of them is just like genetic manipulation. Kind of like what's happening nowadays, but like in a different context. Oh, actually, there was like a giant war with AI, and they won, and afterwards they just hate technology. So you know, let's hope if one day we won the war against AI for some reason, you know, like I can still use my technology, which I enjoyed, but we'll see. I'm thinking too far ahead. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, it was basically it's like the polar opposite of like that Dearest Lenin book. Like everyone was just like very, very crazy, you know, like the first one, it's both about the rise of Paul Atreides, but I think more likely or not, it's more about like the fall of Paul. Fall in a way, not in terms of like he gains power. Fall in the way of like him, you know, he was like a very idealistic young man, but like with all the crazy shit happens, he slow, because of like the people around him just kept on telling him Harkonnen is evil, you know, like everyone is getting paranoid all the time, even before like the coup happens. And there was even like a scene which I don't understand why none of the adaptations include, where Paul's mom, Lady Jessica, she suspected like one of the agents was Harkonnen, and there was like a fierce argument between Duncan Idaho and Lady Jessica, where like Duncan, drunk, accused Jessica of being like a Harkonnen agent, and Jessica was like, if I really want to, you guys will be dead on the ground. And like it's during like a feast, and then like it made everyone really, really uncomfortable. And that's just like, you know, it happens, like it happens in their daily life. And it was so tense, like towards the end, Gurney tried to murder Jessica, because which the only adaptation included was in the TV show, because she suspected Jessica to be the mole. The actual mole was Yui. And then yeah, and then there's like there's like a passionate plea from Paul. That was like the only like human moment in the book where like you can tell like Jessica, she starts to feel really tired of this whole thing. Like you see, finally you see the mask behind her, the mask that she's wearing start to crack. And that's where like that's why like the last line of the book, she was like trying to console what's her name, Shannon, the character Zendaya played. She was trying to console her, and then like she was saying like, you know, like history, like we're gonna be called concubines, but history is gonna remember as wives. It's a little bit cold, but like, I think like for what's worse, that's the best they can get, you know. One Piece. Last time I remembered, they're still making it, which is crazy considering, you know, they're still making One Piece. They still haven't stopped. But like, honestly, that show went on too long, you know, in my opinion, way too long. But there's something really charming about this show. It's very wild, it's very wacky, and there is always like a childish charm to it, no matter how long they continue. You know, you're always feel like you're in a kid's going to like you know, theme park. You see all those like wacky and crazy people, everyone's partying. It's always like fun. Even when things are gotten really bad, they still haven't forgot how to make it fun. But beneath those fun, there's like a lot of really like, a lot of these characters' side stories. They're really, really sad. I don't know if you noticed that. You know, like Nami. You know, like she's an orphan, and then like her caretaker got brutally murdered, and then she was like forced to like drew maps and locked up. Like you know, and then like she spent her whole life just trying to get out, and like Chopper's story, you know, like that's like that scene, or like he someone gave him a bread, and then like he bite it for the first time and start to cry. So it's a little bit sad just think about it, but it's just a group of friends stick together no matter what. You heard that story many times, but like, this never gets old. It never gets old. And there's a level of perseverance they kept on beating down, they kept on getting defeated, but like they climb back up. It's like, like nothing new is like shonen, but like there is like a degree where like the degree of perseverance is what made it special, Good show. I always had this book. It's called Filmmaker's Handbook. A lot of people recommended me this, and I think I got it in the thrift store. The Bible updated. The Bible. This is like equivalent to the Bible. Well, I guess like they're the same volume of pages, I think. It's funny, like a lot of like books or like guidebooks that keep on comparing to the Bible. But anyways, there's a lot of people that I knew, and they would tell you the same thing if they're still around. They would tell you like they read every single page of this book, or they had a master's in filmmaking. I don't even know how that, well, is there like a PhD in like film degree? I think there is, maybe, but they never made anything. Some of them, which is ironic, isn't it? When you study movies, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing with like being like a cinephile. I don't even like that word. It sounds like ew, it's so like yucky. There's nothing wrong with like enjoying to watch movies, just like sit around and do nothing and just talk about movies all day. But you know what? Like the way I kind of see it, it's always better to make something, and rather than just like sit there and criticize other people. And like a lot of the movies are like, there's like thousands of movies being made every year. A lot of them were like not good by a lot of people, but then again, like good or bad are just like subjective, right? Like and for a lot of people, good means it's the same as the bull crap they've seen all their life, something like that. And I don't think it's fair to like dismiss those like small to dismiss those movies that are just like made with nothing at all, and because like I think now there's a lot of people starting to realize like making movies are like really, really expensive. And like I met a lot of people who tells me like I have to like make a lot of money first before making a movie. But like how long are you gonna wait? Might as well just like pick up your camera and make something. Especially now. Well, you can't go outside. But like, so make something dumb. Sometimes I do make some short films in my apartment, trying to like try out different things. Make something was my in my bathroom. Like toilet it got exploded. Make a horror film out of that. Or film my cat, make a comedy out of that. there's a lot of things at your disposal, like, or like music, like make a guitar, use a guitar, like do some stupid tunes like that. My guitar is lost during the when things goes crazy, but I wish I still have my guitar. But case in point, like, just make anything. I mean, like, there's not a lot of people around now to tell you your things is bad. So, there's no excuse. Looks like they're shutting down the power now. I don't think we're gonna have the time to read some books, because like the power could go off anytime soon. Let's I don't know what to do. Let's listen to some music. And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friends, I stay here. I'll say my grace, of which I'm certain. If I were done, I assure you that I could go more than I could chew. But through it all, when we're stuck, I made it up, exit it out. You know, and most of all, I did it my way. Darkness of the music of the night. Close your eyes and enter a strange new world. In the thoughts of the new before. Close your eyes and let music set you free. Only then can you belong to me. 在上面，我们拥抱，握住手的抱歉，回到记得，今夜是最好的句点，最后还有一起面对面，我们不顾在回家后的房间，承受的人，所有伤痛少一点，谁有眼泪，并不代表爱很浅，而是懂得微笑着让彼此，我们不会再分开，在上面我们拥抱，握住所有的抱歉，回到今天，今夜是最好的句点，最后还能一起面对面，我们不顾在回家后的房间，承受的让所有伤痛少一点，没有眼泪，并不代表爱很浅，而是懂得微笑着让彼此怀念。 Is the power went off. You know, it's very quiet. It's very quiet right now. I liked it. I like the quiet. You know, sometimes you always wonder, like, what you can do differently, you know? I know it sounds a little bit cringe, but like, I went around, talked a lot about movies, a lot about books I read. Don't want to talk a lot about myself because, you know, like, just reminds me of like, just like really bad things happens. I don't know why, like, usually you want to talk about the good thing that happens to you, right? Like, but you know, like, when all hell breaks loose, when you talk about the good stuff, it just reminds you of like what you missed. I think like maybe one day, if I got a chance to like meet up with other people again, you know, like I could be more positive, you know, like sometimes when you meet sometimes like when you meet people, like you're so excited to talk to them, you know, you just like start to like spill your guts out, you know, you talk about all about yourself, but you didn't realize like you sound a little bit like a narcissist, you know. But like now, like with all this crazy shit going around, I just want to like talk to someone, just want to listen to them, you know? Sometimes I talk too much. Sometimes I talk too much and then just like, but you know, deep down, I want them to talk. I want them to like talk to me back, you know, like even if it start an argument, you know, well, no, not really, but like, I just want to hear them back. Not even like, you know, I don't need I don't need to hear them say they love me or something like that. But just I don't know what to expect, you know, like I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of things I want to say, but sometimes like when you meet them, you know, you just froze. You know, the more you like someone, the more you froze. And that's the one thing I kind of wish. Like, I wish, like, before all hell broke loose, you know, like, I want to tell them, like, how I feel about them, you know, but, like, you, but then when you got to that moment, you just don't know what to say. And to be frank, like, I don't know if like everything, if all things went back to normal, I could do that as well. I guess I guess it's always been like that, you know, like everyone is like lonely, for a while, even if they have families. Um, I don't know if people who watches us get to this far. If you do, I just want to tell you, you're a really good friend, you know? Like, you have the capacity to just like sit here listening to me talking about all those nonsense that doesn't matter anymore, you know, like bullcrap, like movies, you know, like books, and like how stupid my chicken stir fry is. Like, genuinely, it means a lot. It means a lot to just like listen to someone. And I wish I could do the same for you, you know? I guess that's why I made it, you know? I wanna listen to I wanna listen to your story. I just want someone to talk to me, you know? Like, talk to me. You know, I used to sing opera, you know? I used to sing like Broadway musical. That's why I like it was the, you know, like listening to Phantom the Opera. But like when you start like I don't know, it's just luck, right? Like I hosted some small concert myself. Nobody listened to it. I guess I just didn't find the right audience. And I broke my voice. Um, I wish I could learn that again because like singing is like singing was like the one time that like I felt really confident speaking to people. But I guess I'm still I don't know. I don't know. If you're watching this, I wish I could give you a hug. I wish I could say, it's okay. You're not alone. We can get through this. But, you know, I don't know if, when I don't know, like when I say this, whether you're the one needing a hug or I am the one. I guess it doesn't really matter, no? It's very peaceful now. It's very quiet. I think yeah, I think it's gone on long enough, eh? Thank you. Thank you for watching this. I really mean it. I really mean it. Thank you so much for watching this because like, you know, I don't expect people to get this far. If you got this far, whoever you are, I love you. I do. Let's just enjoy the silence for a moment. And I can, I hope I can see you somewhere and give you like a biggest hug.